Gracias, Silvia. Bueno, a continuación, nuestro segundo participante de este bloque es el señor Jean-Marc Rejaud, profesor del Fashion Institute of Technology de Nueva York. Él enseña marketing en el Departamento de Publicidad y Comunicaciones en este instituto, donde enseña e investiga las mejores prácticas en las nuevas tendencias de marketing, comunicaciones integradas de marketing, digitales, todo lo que es web y social mobile, promoción de ventas, marketing database y analytics marketing. Es presidente y fundador de Focus Marketing, una consultora boutique que ayuda a reenfocar las claves de las estrategias de comunicación con clientes que van desde las compañías Fortune 100 a diferentes empresas en Estados Unidos y Asia. Acompáñenme en dar la bienvenida a Jean-Marc Rejaud.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, I'm very happy to be in Peru. I speak in English, even though I'm French, and I present in Peru. Go figure, right? Go figure. I wanted to do that in French. How many would like me to present in French? One. You want an A. You want an A. All right, so I will do it in English, actually. So thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very, very happy to be here. It's, as I mentioned to my friends at University at San Ignacio de Loyola, without who I will not be there. They are the one who made me, who really, contacted me and said, you should come, Peru is booming. And when I landed, I really felt that this country is booming. I travel quite a lot, actually. This year, I spoke in the US, I spoke in China, I spoke in Trinidad and Tobago, and then I spoke in Peru. And I felt, when I landed, a very similar intensity in terms of entrepreneurship in Peru that I felt in China. But with a Peruvian spin, which is a much nicer spin. They don't have Pisco. You have Pisco. That's a great advantage, right? So it was meant to be. Not to go too much in details about my life, but at one point my partner was Peruvian. My cousin lives in Lima, will be wedding a Peruvian lady. Then I met Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Kramer at Universidad at UCL, and then I realized that just in a few weeks, months, we got on the same wave, and we decided to collaborate, and here I am today, right? So life is full of surprises. Okay, so let me move on my presentation. So actually, I was not sure of the format, so I might overload you. So if you feel headache, it's a good sign. It's a very good sign, right? So let me share with you some elements linked to fashion and the new paradigm in the way fashion should be looked at, right? Very interestingly enough, I just actually went to France as well, just before coming to Peru, to make a presentation on the same topic. And the French are very French. They are arrogant. They are French, right? And for them, luxury is up there. They don't understand that it could be here. It doesn't mean that it's there, it's here. And it's very difficult for them to understand that in some ways it has to go up and above the respect of the designer, this God who is designing the clothes, that it's a business. And actually, very interestingly enough, they don't consider Ralph Lauren as being a luxury brand, which in the US it is. So that's the point of my presentation today, right? So I will do a quick introduction. Then your speaker, what I have been introduced, I will not overdo it. I'm not here to self-promote, even though I am, even though I'm not. Why fashion should be approached as a business and no more a hobby. And the marketing planning framework. I work for L'Oreal, I work for American Express, and then I work for my own company. And then I also consult a lot with fashion. And every time I say, well, I assume they know, and in fact they don't. So I always go back to the basics of marketing. They are simple basics. What makes it complicated is that you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. That's what makes it complicated. But at the core, the foundation of marketing is damn simple. Excuse me for my French, right? Okay. Sorry, going back. Well, all right. So what you want to do is to move from this to this, if you decide to. Very interestingly enough, Michael Kors is an alumni of the Fashion Institute of Technology. Not in my program, but in the fashion design, right? And that's what you want to do. It's if you decide to, it's not an obligation, but if you decide to, then you can remain a hobby, or you can move to a $14 billion valuation company like Michael Kors here. And this company, compared to the one on my right side, on your left side, has a bunch of characteristics that are very similar to all the companies that are successful. Michael Kors is a successful company. Louis Vuitton is a successful company, owned by LVMH. Apple, the most valuable company in the world. L'Oréal, the #1 cosmetic company in the world. DKNY, also belonging to LVMH. What doesn't belong to LVMH? Well, that's easier to count. It's a very successful company. Facebook, in some ways, right? Google, Telstar Motors. Have you heard about those guys, Telstar Motors? They do electric cars, right? And they build a strong brand. Even Prince. They all share the same characteristics. They have understanding of marketing and they have discipline. Google did not start like that. They came with a technology mindset and they moved to a consumer and marketing mindset. Facebook, they didn't start like that. They started with a technology mindset and they moved to a consumer marketing mindset, right? So, a discipline process, that's what it is. I'm sure that I'm not telling you anything new here. Hopefully, I'm not telling you anything new, right? That discipline is all the story. You want to move from a product idea to going through your marketing, then you develop your product and you go through you work on the technical side of it, then you productionalize and then you promote. I mean, it's more logical than that is very difficult to envision. So it means, oh, a smartphone, a phone that is smart, right? You move to the product, and to the product, you move to the promotion. Or what about a relaxed dress? A dress that is relaxed. Well, you move from the idea, you go through your marketing spin, you end up with the prototype or the product, and you promote it. Nothing different. A technique or a process is not good or bad by itself. It's the way you use it that makes it good or bad, right? It's the way you use it. So, that's me, forget it. Hopla. So, where was I here? So what I want to avoid today with you guys is this particular situation. I don't know if you saw this video before, but as I present, I always want to be sure that I avoid this situation. So, Miguel, do you want to play the video?
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Everybody knows that.
Well, did you know Pinocchio was a bad motivational speaker?
I look around this room and I see nothing but untapped potential. You have potential. You have... Oh, boy.
So that's what I want to avoid
15
today.
minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
That's what I want to avoid today, that my nose is getting bigger and bigger because what I'm telling you is pure liars. So, why is fashion no more a hobby? Or it could be a hobby, then if it is your ambition, so be it. But if you want to make it a business, then there are a bunch of things that you want to be aware of. One is 95%. That's a number that I would like you to keep in mind. What do you think it is, 95%? 95% what? 95% what? What do you guys think? Huh? 95% work. All right. Actually, the 95% means that 95% of the fashion design business fail. 95% of the fashion design business fail. It's huge. It means that only 5% succeed. As we see in New York, you have talented artists, people who play music or whatever type of arts. You have talented artists, at least 10 per block. 10, maybe 20. I have enough fingers on my two hands to count the number of artists who are successful. What makes the difference is discipline, right? So why do business fail? First, their target is too narrow. It's too much niche. A niche as a target marketing concept, I have to avoid this one. A niche as a target marketing concept is good. It's one of the 4 options that you have to target. That's okay. But if you just do it by default, fashion means niche, then you might have a problem. And actually, it's no more a niche market. It's a segmented market. 2, no brand, a lack of identity. How do you want me to know you if you don't know yourself who you are and you don't communicate to me who you are? It's impossible. 3, too many cooks in the kitchen. Well, first of all, you need to have a kitchen. And then you have more often than not too many cooks. No unique value. Value is very simple. The definition of value is extremely simple. The benefits for the price. The benefits for the price. It's very simple, right? If you have no clear value, those are the benefits I provide you with my fashion brand for the price that I'm charging you. How do you want me to know how much you are worth? Because we make purchase decision in comparison, always, right? We compare. If I don't know your value, benefits for price compared to the benefits for price of another brand, I will just do not know what you are worth. And I cannot make a decision. Even people who purchase Apple. How many Apple users here? All right. Don't tell me you did not compare. You did. You don't want to recognize it. You did it in a light speed mode, but you compared. Clinging to history. That's the way we do things. That drives me nuts. It doesn't drive you nuts? That's the way we do things? It just drives me nuts. And then customers, lack of customers focus, not reaching the customers in their own terms. And one guy who is really understanding that, as we'll say later on, is Michael Kors. So if you look at that list, how many of those reasons to fail are linked to a bad design? That the Yves Saint Laurent or the Karl Lagerfeld badly designed clothes? That the design is bad. How many? 0. Most of the reasons why fashion business fail are linked to marketing. I don't know my target, or I define it too narrowly. 2, I don't have a brand. 3, I don't have a value, or unique enough that when your customers in your target are looking at you, and what you propose, and they compare that to the rest, they understand what you stand for. That's the way we do things. And customers. Right? So why do they succeed? Because they have a clear target. To really know very easily how to go about it, you take what is wrong, you put it in your mental mirror, and what you see on the other side is what is right. So a clear target, a strong and consistent brand, a clear management structure, which has nothing to do with marketing, maybe it does, A winning value proposition, benefits for price, benefits for price. An ability to change and customer focus. And here's a man. 14 billion valuation, not 14 million, $14 billion valuation. People think that his business is worth $14 billion from zero. And then you have also the phenomena of digital, which is putting everything upside down, and then upside down again, and then upside down again. Right? So here's a short video. Miguel, thank you, man.
Over the last 5 years, the S&P Global Luxury Index has generated returns of 33%, double the return of the broader S&P. The valuation garnered by brands in the marketplace is driven by earnings growth, positioning, and more recently, perceived digital competence. Michael Kors now commands a $17 billion valuation, greater than Tiffany and Williams-Sonoma combined. The market's love affair with digital is justified. 1 in 5 luxury consumers shop online, and as many as 4 in 5 purchases are influenced by digital. Fashion brands are responding. Since L2's 2012 index, nearly 20% of fashion brands have upgraded their site, including 3 e-commerce launches.
Yeah, we had to play with the internet connection here.
%84 of brands now sell online. However, many brands fail to embrace advances in customer service features, including product reviews, live chat, and in-store pickup. And while email frequency increases, adoption of proven tactics such as trigger emails, which double open rates and quadruple click rates, remains flat, despite nearly 70% cart abandonment. On the mobile front, Gucci inspired a new wave of investment with its mobile site launched last Christmas.
Same thing, internet. It's happening. Right? But it's coming, it's coming. Now it's coming.
Reportedly, the icon's new gateway now accounts for 41% of the brand's total traffic and 28% of online revenue. Today, over 2/3 of fashion brands maintain a mobile site and over half support mobile commerce. In the innovation race that never ends, attention is shifting from smartphones to tablets, where brands remain under-optimized. In L2's 5th annual study of the fashion industry, 7 of 10 brands retain their top 10 status. Burberry retains its crown for the 3rd year in a row, deploying technology pioneered at the Regent Street flagship to 300 stores, adding the ability to collect in store and continuing to captivate the world with branded.
A little stop, and it's moving again.
Interactive experiences. Marc Jacobs benefits from a major site relaunch in November 2012, featuring
one last stop, hopefully.
Unique integration of content and commerce. Michael Kors continues to demonstrate dominance in social media, quadrupling its Facebook community and becoming the first brand to experiment with advertising on Instagram. This
I think we are good, Miguel. We are good.
study attempts to quantify the digital competence of 85.
So the bottom, I will highly recommend for those of you who do not know this market research company, even though I really appreciated what was just said before me. It's not really a research company, it's a think tank. It's called L2 Think Tank. They are with the New York University, and they do very interesting research on digital for many verticals, one of them being luxury, but they do auto, they do clothing, they do jewelry, they do beers, they do CPGs. I highly recommend that you look at this L2thinktank.com website, and you can download many of their extract of research for free. If you want to become a member, that's a price tag of $85,000 US, maybe a little bit scary. Okay, so what do you want to become? The key question that you want to ask yourself in that context is, what do you want to become? Do you want to be this guy that I don't even recall the name of versus Jimmy Choo, which is now worth $167 million and growing. And really, they start, you have, as I said, many talented artists in New York, only a few successful ones. Those two guys were both of them shoemaker for Princess Diana. Both of them. But one really took off. So you decide. You can be the left side guy or the right side guy. But if you want to be the right side guy for you, then it means that you have to have some marketing and business discipline. And it means that you want to move from, oh, we are a fashion brand, let's do a runway show, to we are a fashion brand, we do runway show, but we also do print ad, we do TV commercial, we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and then we have an app, and so forth, and so on. All that in a coherent and consistent way. Right? So the obsession of that, it just, okay, I don't want to say you need to deny it. It should not be existing, but it's very minimum. It's a very small part of the big picture. Michael Kors, they do some of those. Dior, they do some of those, but they do much more than that. Okay. So the real difference between the two, as I said, is the marketing and the business discipline. Because everything else being equal around it, that's what makes the difference. That discipline is even more required because there are a bunch of elements that are happening in the world right now, which make that the simple world that we had before is becoming far more complex. So not only discipline is required no matter what, but on the top of that, it becomes extremely complicated and complex out there. So you need to even more have discipline. Well, first of all, in terms of apparel sales, in 2025, it is planned to be $2,000 billion worldwide. 2 trillion. 2,000 billion. So if you have $2,000 billion like it's growing, you have what? More consumers? Right, but if you have more consumers, I guarantee you have more offerings and you have more competitors. When the food looks nice, we all come to it. So it makes it's very attractive on one hand, but it's very complicated on the other hand. It's not that, oh, let's design. Actually, on the plane yesterday, I saw the movie about Yves Saint Laurent. At that time, the guy was talented. He had a bunch of competitors. He was able to stand out. Not sure he would be succeeding the same way today if he did not have Pierre Berger with him and in doing all the marketing. It's true for apparel, it's true for luxury. Luxury is growing again dramatically. You see some bumps, boof, bump, stack, boof, coming back. It's in euro, so it's 217 billion euro to be planned in 2013. We still wait for the final numbers, but it's growing. Same thing, it's more competitors, more offering, more complex. The segments are multiplying like rabbits. It's no more the same profile of luxury consumer like what it was presented before by one of your colleagues. It is a lot more complicated. Here is an example, it's just one example of a segmentation survey made by Bain's company, when they say for luxury now you have 7 segments. You have the conservative that you find a lot in the US and Western Europe. You have the opinionated, the disillusioned that you also find in Europe, right? The hedonist, the omnivore, luxury, I want to purchase luxury. China, right? The wannabe, and then the investor. And that's just one example. My colleague just before presented to you some other segmentations, analysis of the market, but my point primarily is to say that it's not, let's send that to the wall, see if it sticks, and if it sticks, then we have a successful formula. First of all, you need to know which wall, and then you need to know what to try to send to the wall. And you do that through segmentation. The luxury market itself is changing. It was, you can assume, a kind of very nice pyramid shape before, where you had the absolute high luxury, aspirational and accessible, and see what's happening to the aspirational segment. Aspirational luxury, Brazil, Peru, China. BRIC, that's where the growth is. So you can decide to remain here. Oh, you can. You can. No, nothing wrong. But manage your, first of all, you need to make the actual decisions to remain here. It's not by default, but you analyze the market, and then you decide that this is where you want to be. So be it. It's not by default. It's a deliberate analysis where you say, based on my product idea, based on what I want my business to become and my objectives, that's the place to be. It's not the place to be by default anymore. The growth is not here in some ways. And it is international. And it is international. I mentioned to you that in 2025, apparel sales will be $2,000 billion, $2 trillion. A quarter of that will be in China. A quarter of that will be in China, not France. China. How many of you went to China? How many of you went to China? Raise your hand. You know what? If I come back in 1 year, I want to see all the hands raised, having gone to China. That's why it's happening. It's growing. It's frenetic. Right? It's frenetic. It's mind-blowing. The scale. No, it's full of Chinese people. Okay. I give you that. I give you that. It's not Peruvian people. No. But it's growing. And so China is there. So you need to think international. It doesn't mean that you will end up aiming at Chinese consumers in China or traveling. It doesn't mean that you will be it doesn't mean because it's international that you have systematically to end up aiming at Chinese consumer. If you decide to aim to a niche market with Peruvian customers in Peru, fair enough, but it is a deliberate, analyzed decision, not by default. And then, depending upon the countries, they have very different purchase motivations. If you look at China, all what they worry about right now, is the brand, the status. They don't care about the price. Actually, the more expensive, the better, because it is supporting the status. Now, they also are price sensitive in some ways. That's why when we go to France and at the Galeries Lafayette, the department store, they purchase like crazy. 30% of the sales at the Galeries Lafayette, which is that luxury department store in Paris, are from Chinese consumers purchasing at the store. Right? They are still very much exposed to advertising, and then abroad, made abroad, purchased abroad. It's an obsession for them. It's a key driver. On the other hand, if I take the other extreme, let's say Europe and the US, you see it's more center between the brand logo. It's not so much important quality, durability. For the Japanese, durability and quality is huge. So I don't want to go into the detail of this slide because the point is not to do a segmentation analysis. But my point here is to say it's not one size fits all. No more. So you have to be more, first of all, discipline is required no matter what. But it's even more required with what's happening today. And then, people purchase online now. It makes my life as a marketer a real nightmare. They purchase online. In 2000 and, what is it? I don't read it here. 2012, so it's passed, but we reached a $1 trillion. We have passed, it's $1.1 trillion now. $1,100 billion in sales online, right? And what you see on the chart on the right side for you, that it's going worldwide. It's really worldwide. It's actually really worldwide. really worldwide. The US is still growing. From 2011 to 2017, it's planned to move from $192 billion to $380 billion. Then you have APAC, Asia, primarily driven by China. Then you have EMEA, Europe, 278 billion moving to 399 or 400 billion. And then you guys, 87 billion moving to 220 billion. So it's not a marginal story anymore. It is there. Online is there. You can become exclusively online if you want. You can make a business by being exclusively online. The cake is huge. Many businesses now that are starting in the world of fashion are starting online only. And then they move to brick and mortars. They move to stores. So it's very important to keep that in mind, that if in that very, very moving world, with a lot of different paradigms, with a lot of changes, the need for discipline is even more required. Won't you agree? Did I convince you? I have a few yeses here. And it's true even for fashion. Those are the sales online for fashion, projected for some of them. It will reach $73 billion in 2016. It is the fastest growing category online. Let me repeat. The fastest growing category. It is the second largest already sector worldwide. Fashion, luxury, online. Exclusively online? Maybe not. But you need to take that into account as you plan for your business. If you look at fashion and luxury as a business, you need to plan for that dimension. So discipline is required. And the framework that I use when I teach or when I consult, I always start with that framework. For me, this is marketing. Right? This is marketing. You start with a product idea, and from that product idea, you will move to your defining your objectives, your marketing objectives. When you are speaking about marketing, I always say 3 words. Marketing is 3 words, not 4, not 5, not 6, 3. 1, 2, 3. Consumer, value, relationship. Think about it. You can summarize marketing with 3 words. Consumer, because as a marketer, you wake up, who do you think about? The consumer. During the morning, who do you work on? The consumer. When you have a lunch with your colleagues, with marketers, who do you speak about? Consumer. In the afternoon, you work on some projects. Who do you work on? The consumer. And then when you go back home, who do you talk about with your spouse that drive her or him nuts? The consumer. And what do you want to provide to the consumer? What do you want to provide to the consumer? Value. Benefits for price. Benefits for price. Right? And then you want to do that over time so that it's not a one-shot wonder. Like in New York when it's raining. It's very funny. In New York, when it's raining, you see all those guys coming up with umbrellas. And they sell umbrellas. And as soon as it stops raining, they disappear like frogs. Right? So it's not a sustainable business, even though it's raining often. So maybe the same guys come in and out, but you want to build a relationship over time. Right? So when you think about marketing objective, you want to think about, that's what I was mentioning, 3 words. You want to think about 2 particular words in the marketing framework. Consumer and relationship. That's the 2 words that you want to take from the 3 to build your marketing objective. If you don't know your objective clearly, when I say, start, run, if I don't give you an objective, that's the way people are going to run. All over the place. right? Because everyone will be understanding their own understanding, will have their own understanding of what marketing, what an objective means. You need to be extremely precise. So if you want to really think about relationship as a personal relationship with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your wife, you know, at one point, or your husband. At one point, there was no relationship. So you want to create one, right? If you do that, you are in acquisition. You have no relationship, you want to create one first relationship, acquisition. If acquisition is your objective, just stick to it. Don't do acquisition and everything else. Acquisition. Or you have established the relationship. That person purchased a product already from you, or one product, one first visit in your store, one first visit on your e-commerce. That person purchased one time. Now you want that person to purchase more from you, more often, and more products. When you want that, you want loyalty. Now, like any relationships, I don't want to ask you for testimonies, because that might be a difficult session, but sometimes relationships are not so easy. I see some eyes, which a certain level of understanding. Right? Sometimes the relationship strains. Well, it's the same with a consumer. So if that consumer is starting to purchase less and less products from you, but this is a consumer based on his or her profile that is really valuable, retain that person. Retain. That's retention. If the problem that you have is people starting to go away from your business, don't acquire customer. Because if you do that, that is putting, the bucket with a hole. You put water, but the level never goes up because you have a hole and the water goes off. Acquisition. We don't have more customers. Guess what? The problem is retention. Right? Or the person left, stop purchasing your product, and in that case, you want to go to win that person back. So you want to know exactly what is your marketing objective. And preferably, you don't have 4 at the same level. Amex, they run after the 4. American Express, they run after the 4 at the same time. But you always have one, which is a priority. Acquisition or loyalty. You don't have 2. Right? So first, marketing objective. So I will bypass that. Second, you want to understand the market. To understand the market, what you have seen today just before me, and maybe even this morning, explaining to you the luxury market, how the market is going, who is purchasing, what do they purchase, why don't they purchase, what are the trends. In luxury and fashion, a big element to really grasp is trends. What are, from a lifestyle standpoint, where are the trends? What do people aim at doing? So you want to understand that. Then you want to understand your target market. So the target market is very simple. I do that little simulation. I love to play with PowerPoint. You have people in the market and you make them go through a logic. A logic which is here to say, as I make you go through my logic, I can detect you as a good potential versus a bad potential for my product. So I make the people in the market go through my logic, and then this guy, based on my logic, will go here, this guy will go here, this guy will go here, this guy will go here, and then based on that, I have 3 segments. And I will pick the one that, based on the number of people in the segment and the quality of the people in that segment, how do they look like, their propensity to purchase my product, which is higher, then I will pick those guys. So I move from the market to segments to the target. Right? So the segmentation logic, I want to bypass that. The segmentation logic, can I go back? Can you make me go back, Miguel? Can you make it go back 1 or 2 slides? Okay, that's the segmentation logic that you use could be this one. Now you can maybe use what has been presented to you just before me, or you use a combination of the two. So you take your people in your target or in your market, and then you make them go through the bzzz, those segments, and some guys will show as being conservative, some guys will show as being investors, and based on your product idea, based on the approach that you want to have, then you are indeed picking 1 or 2 segments as your target. And the rest, you don't care. Don't care, right? Then I will stop on this one, the value proposition. For me, it's core. That's what is more often missing the most in fashion and luxury. Sometimes, by default, they have the target. It's not that they had a deliberate analysis of the market, the trends. It happened that the designer or the head of the business had a ha-ha moment, and he was like, he didn't do any analysis, but he was just with the right idea at the right time. Thank you, God. Right? That's luck. You can base business on luck. You can do that. You can do that, right? So value proposition, you want to be able to formulate your value proposition in very simple terms. Guess what? Benefits for price. And you want to look at your target and then look at your competitors in that target and then say, what is my winning value proposition? What is my winning value proposition? I'm Chanel, I'm more benefits for a higher price. That's what I am. And that's a winning formula for me. Right? I am a coach. I compete with Kate Spade and Michael Kors in the US. I will be more benefits for the same price. I am H&M. I will be competing with the Target of the world, the department store of the world. I will be more benefits, better design, better products for a lower price. Or I can be same for less, which is Bob's Store, a department store in the US, which sells Levi jeans, but for cheaper. Or I can be less for less, 99-cent store. The 99-cent store in the US are just booming like there is no tomorrow. Right? So the point is that, and I will stop here, but the point is that you want, I had more, but I want to manage the time. The point is really at the end that the discipline is required. And I just covered the strategic decisions of marketing. I didn't even go into the tactical part of it. It would take far more time, which I would love to do, but not now. So discipline is required. It's even more required because the market is changing. It's fragmenting, it's bigger, you have more segments, you have more players, you have more places to play in. The one-size-fits-all cannot work anymore. The by default choice of a niche approach with a niche marketing approach might be a good one, but it's no more the case anymore. And then you want to be sure that you know what are your marketing objectives, what is your target, what is your value proposition, clearly defined for that target. Then you start to be in a good shape to be the next Michael Kors. Thank you very much.